Hello, 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 hello. It is the 3rd of September, and we are moving forward on our scene. So, yes, we are getting pretty close to being finished with this one. Let's see here. So, let's do a cleanup on this one here. We need our solid end. Let's see, that's not the solid end. Let's go to black. There we go. All right. So, right. All right. I'm not going to make this too big for the cleanup. It seems like it's looking pretty. It's I've positioned myself to get the line work working pretty good from this size. I like. I mean, I generally like to work larger, zoom the image up a little bit more, but I don't think I'm going to do that. I think I'll leave it as is. I think it's big enough. Yeah. It's big enough. Yeah. Okay. I would say for those of you who like to use those clean line helpers, I forget what they're called. They're programs where you can um, put a line down and have it be. It's a little more mechanical, but it's a straighter, cleaner line. Um, Not a bad way to go. Like here, I'm using the. I guess you would call this a vector line. I guess I think I'm saying that correctly. So that works great because it gives you a nice solid line. You know. Yeah. But yeah, there's I don't think it's not in this program. I'm pretty sure this program doesn't have it is not set up for that type of thing where it'll make a line and then it'll allow you to make it a clean straight line. I don't think it does that in Rough Animator. At least I'm not aware that it does. I don't think it does. Let's see. Yeah. Okay. Couple more, and I think we're gonna be done here. Let's see. So much fun to do something when you get down to the point where you're just doing clean line. Gosh, I love this part because it's just I don't have to think anymore. I can just trace a line, and I'm done. I think that's the thing that I've always liked about animation because I'm used to doing really finished kind of artwork. I like doing the cleaner, more finished work. So I don't know that part of the job has always kind of been fun for me. A lot of folks don't like the real detailed, finished stuff. Most artists like to do the rough, sketchy stuff because they can be a lot more creative, I guess, or they don't have to be so definite. There's more of an emotional quality to doing a sketchier drawing. But I like both parts. I like the sketchy drawing, and I also like the finished, more cleaner drawing. I think artists need to have a discipline for finishing things. And that's just my take on it. That's just how I see it. You know, you got to kind of go with what you think works for you. You know, the beauty of being an artist, you find the way that works for you. You do that. So what's happening there? Hello. Did I miss something? Dink. Yeah. There we go. Okay. Okay. Let's see. Oops. Seems like the frustrating things about cleanup is getting your lines to go where you want them to go. All too often, so you start cleaning up a line or doing a cleaner line, and it doesn't quite go where you want it to go. Oh boy. Well, I guess yeah. Let's see. What did I do? Oh, yeah. So where's the palette? Where's the palette? What is this? No. Evidently, I must have hit something. Let's see. No. Two options. Timeline. So where's my... Oh, I bet it's there. There it is. I knew it was something as I had. It's just some irritating horse crap I got to deal with. It's like, where'd my palette go? Far be it from the system to tell you anything. You have to you end up figuring things out on your own, or just getting freaking frustrated because you don't see what you want to see. So freaking typical. That's just the way things work. The way things work. Okay. Working digitally is such in some ways, it's a new way of thinking about everything you do, because as an artist, you're so accustomed when you start out with doing things there's just a certain way to do things instinctively. But then when you start to work digitally, you suddenly realize, oh, wait a minute, all of the things that I did when I worked on paper are not quite applying in the digital world at all. You know, and then you go back to you go from the digital world back to drawing, say, in a traditional way, and then you forget that, or you get stuck. So it's kind of like, really, you have to sort of do enough of both consecutively to sort of get accustomed to jumping back and forth. I find myself sometimes in that problem where I forget. Like undo has always been one of those things that's messed me up whenever I go back to drawing on regular paper with an eraser. It's like, well, nothing trumps undo, Undo is so easy. You click that and the last thing you did disappears. So when you go back to drawing, when you go back to actually drawing in the truest sense of drawing, on paper, you don't have undo. Undo doesn't exist, So then you're like, oh, well, now what do I do? I can't undo. There is no undo in real life, I was like, oh yeah, that's right. I forgot about that. Undo does not exist in real life. So anyway, let's see. Well, there. All right, then we go back to the regular line. Okay. Okay. All right. Paint bucket, stink. Yeah. Okay. So that's behind. That's another thing is like remembering, am I on the top or am I underneath? Am I over here or am I over there? That's the stuff you have to remember. Is the line on top or is the line underneath? Am I going this way? Or am I going to the left or am I going to the right? Yeah. Little things like that you can forget when you're working. Two more. How are we doing? Yeah, let's do them. Two more. Okay, so we got. All right, let's see. Black line, black line. Da-da-da-da-da. It's gonna go. Well, we'll do it front. Black line there. Well, I guess maybe the most elusive thing about doing really tidy drawings in animation is you have to always kind of remind yourself that this is going to go by at 24 frames a second. So, you tend to feel a drawing at a 24th of a second, or a 12th of a second. You don't really see it. You feel its influence on the screen, but you don't really see that 12th of a second. And then I say 12th of a second because I'd say most animators animate on twos, so that means that your drawings are on the screen for a 12th of a second because each drawing would be held twice. If you actually, put your drawings on ones, then you would have a drawing every 1/24th of a second, which is really fast. So there you go. Your actions are smoother when something's on ones, but obviously it's twice as much work. So most people work on twos for the sake of expediency, and you can see why they would. Let's see. Makes perfect sense. Who wants to do the extra work when you don't have to, right? Right. Exactly. Doesn't make sense to do work you don't need to do. Animation's hard enough, is it not? Why would we need to make it any harder? Exactly. We concur. We're looking for ease of operation. We're looking for the simplest solution, the quickest solution. So we do what works the quickest. Paint bucket, ding. Hair, skin, and lips. This is going to be underneath. Paint bucket shirt. There we go. One more and we're done. One more and we're done. One more and we're done. Okay, one more and we're done. Okay. So, let's see, we have a line block. That's too bad. Rough Animator doesn't have a... you can't modify the cleanup line. I mean, you can make it thinner. I could make the line thinner if I wanted to. I kind of almost, I wonder if you could, I guess you could import brushes into Rough Animator, I suppose. I never tried that. Be nice to see a brush that's like a literal paintbrush, or like, you know, where it's got a flexible tip to it. But I don't know if you necessarily need it. I guess you could use it. I keep thinking that the things that you really notice in animation, there's a lot of stuff that you miss that you don't really even see. So I guess sometimes I would say, you know, when you look at something that's got a lot of detail in it, you know it's got the detail in it, but I don't know that you could pick out a mistake. I mean, I guess you could, but you would really have to be paying attention. You know, when I look at the old Disney cartoons, I don't know. I particularly find it hard to find a mistake. But, you know, obviously you could find a mistake. I don't know. It just seems like to me that if you go to such a length to put so much surface value into your drawing, it would seem to me that you'd want to, well, I don't know. It just seems like, I guess it wouldn't seem like it that you could probably tell yourself that you could probably get away with some things because nobody's going to see it, you know. You know, it would be hard to see a mistake, I would think. But, you know, there's a mentality to that. The idea to, oh, well, I don't have to care because nobody's going to notice something. Then we wouldn't have gotten the great looking animations like Pinocchio, for instance. You know, when I look at Pinocchio and it's got all this amazing detail in the finished artwork. And, you know, I'd have to say, well, sure, you could take the position of, well, nobody's going to notice all this work. So why don't we just take it down to something that's a lot less details? You could do that. Nothing wrong with that, I guess. But then, like I said, we wouldn't get these great, beautiful masterpieces. Whoops, I went black there. We want a color. Yeah, you wouldn't get those great masterpieces, you know, because you say, oh, well, you know, why are we doing that? It's too much work. Well, okay, you know. But I don't know. It seems like to me, though, it's just, I always see it as worth it to me. It's the way I see it. I think it's worth it. I think it's worth it to put the extra work in. I really do. I like the extra work. I like the fact that somebody has decided that they're going to put in that extra work and they're going to make it look really beautiful. You know, I look at the Nutcracker suite in Fantasia, and, you know, it's just beautiful. The little fairies with the airbrush effects and everything. I mean, they could have said, well, why are we doing all this work? Nobody's going to really notice it. Well, no, we notice it. It is nice. Or in Bambi, you look at that beautiful sequence with the April shower, and they've got the lightning effects, and it's just absolutely breathtaking. So I don't know. I think it's great to put in the extra work because I think you do see it. Well, certainly you appreciate it, and of course, I don't know. In some ways, today I think maybe we're even more attuned to doing good, really good work because we are trying to make it look nice. We are trying to um, give it the extra or whatever you want to call it, and then I think that's good. Nothing wrong with that. So, anyways, let's see. Let me bring this up. So we're done with this scene. Let's see. Let me make it small and let you guys see the full scene here. All right. I'm going to take the opacity of the rough line out completely. And there we have our finished scene. So Miguel's all done. I think I probably we'll see how it goes on the next. I'll probably do tomorrow let's see. I might go ahead tomorrow and do an edit. I don't think I've ever done an edit on here before, so yeah, I think I should do an edit. I'll do an edit, I think, yeah. So anyways, hey, fun. So we're all done. I think, now we just have to pull everything together. Of course, I don't know. I may have to dance around a little bit because I actually am having an issue with my Storyboard Pro program because since I got the new computer, I haven't been able to open my Storyboard Pro program. So I'm getting some help from tech support on that. So whether or not there's a scene I need to do for tomorrow, whether or not I get that scene ready or not for tomorrow will depend on whether I got my Storyboard Pro up and running like it should be. So that may be put off a little bit if I don't. So I may be doing something else tomorrow different. We'll see how it goes. All right, folks, you have a great day and wonderful day. Keep, like I say, keep being creative. And I'll see you tomorrow. And don't forget, Jesus is Lord.